Subpoenas, sentencings, and Stone. What will become of the special counsel's unfinished business? The conclusion of special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election concluded Friday with the news that a final report has been delivered to the Attorney General, but the probe's formal end leaves questions about several ongoing legal proceedings, including the prosecution of Roger Stone, a former advisor to President Donald Trump. In addition to Stone's prosecution, the office's legal loose ends include 2 sentencings and 2 grand jury subpoena appeals. Yet the government's, before the dramatic news Friday, the special counsel's high-powered appellate team appeared to be on the verge, after a long struggle, of winning a series of appeals filed by 2 recalcitrant witnesses fighting subpoenas to appear before his grand jury. If those victories, the mysterious company, while zealously guarding its identity from public disclosure, had fought Mueller from the district court all the way to the Supreme Court, which was poised to decide whether to hear the case on Friday. Mueller had also, now, with the investigation officially over, it appears both Mueller and the mystery company may have been handed a new argument. The request for their documents and testimony is moot. With the special count, that may not, however, be the end of the matter. Mueller's grand jury. In addition, 2 former federal prosecutors agreed that the Justice Department would likely be loath to see recalcitrant witnesses come away with such an easy victory. I think some other unit within the Justice Department will likely see it through, either the U.S. Attorney in Washington, D.C., or maybe DOJ. I think that somebody will carry on the litigation because the grand jury is still in session until June. Elizabeth de la Vega, a former organized crime prosecutor, agreed. Peter Carr, a spokesman for the special counsel's office, declined to comment on what would happen next with the contested subpoenas. Mueller's investigators had also executed search warrants at Roger Stone's residences in Florida and New York when they arrested him in late January, seizing computers and phones among other things. In court filings, the special counsel's office is also closing with a number of prosecutions still pending at various stages of completion. These include Roger Stone's prosecution for lying in congressional testimony and intimidating other witnesses will go forward even though the investigation that charged him has come to a close. Stone will be prosecutions that may spring to life in the future, for example if the Russian defendants associated with the Internet Research Agency were ever arrested, would be handled by other Justice Department offices associated with those cases. Whether any former, the prosecutions of Rick Gates, Trump's deputy campaign manager, and Flynn, however, do not currently have any Justice Department components other than special counsel's office involved. Gates' sentencing has been serially postponed, most recently on March 15, because Gates continues to cooperate with respect to several ongoing investigations, according to a status update filed with the court. It's not clear how Flynn's sentencing was delayed late last year after the federal judge expressed his extreme distaste with Flynn's conduct and offered him the chance to complete his cooperation before being sentenced, an offer the retired general decided to accept. The next status up, the 2 special counsel attorneys assigned to Flynn's case, Brandon Van Grack and Zainab Ahmed, even before the conclusion of its investigation on Friday. Asked which just
Raindrop, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.